Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
What a pleasure to talk with author, pastor, speaker Ronnie Martin. He's got a devotional out. You want to know more about it? The God Who Is With Us, 25-day devotional for Advent. Pastor, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you.
Yeah, we want to talk to you about Advent and the devotional. But first, the holidays, Christmas, what do you usually do? Do you and the family do the same things? What's up for you guys?
Oh, man, we love it. Yeah, we're pretty traditional. So it kicked off for us last weekend. We call that tree weekend. We go out, get the tree, decorate the house. It's just like 4 or 5 days of just that's all we do. All fun, all food, friends, hanging out. It's one of the highlights of the year. So we love it. We get into all of it. So
yeah, it looked like it. I was looking at your Facebook page, and there was just picture after picture of the tree and listening to little Christmas music, and I think the cat was involved as well. It looked like.
I probably lost just dozens of followers for all the annoying and incessant. So, yeah,
love that. Pastor Ronnie Martin with us. He's got a devotional out, The God Who Is With Us, a 25-day devotional for Advent. Let's talk about Advent a little bit. It starts on the 27th of November and ends, December 24th. And it's basically the season we celebrate before the birth of Jesus. So why the devotional now? Is this something you've been kicking around for a while, or did you feel like, hey, we don't talk about or celebrate Advent like we used to? Maybe I should bring this back up. What's the deal?
Yeah, well, gosh, I love Christmas so much. A few years back, I wrote an Advent devotional book for kids, which I had a great time doing. It was illustrated. And my heart, though, was to do something for, adults. And so I just, it's something I've been working out in my head for some years, and the opportunity came up, and I was able to use the same illustrator that I used for my kids' book, and so it was a really neat project to be able to dive into, and just bring awareness to the celebration of Advent, which has deep roots, and is becoming a little more I think well known, a little more popular, a little more celebrated, even in non-liturgical churches. It's kind of getting widespread acceptance, I think, throughout the country these days. So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's something I remember growing up. We used to, light the candle every Sunday, and it was just kind of a fun thing for kids to do. And then as we got older, it's like people stopped doing this. I'm like, whatever happened to that? And then this Sunday at church, we lit our first candle. I was like, yes, it's because it just helps it helps to, I think, prepare us as Christmas comes. And now having devotionals each day, I think that's a great way to really prepare our hearts for what Christmas is about.
Yeah, for sure. And it was, it's so interesting because this time of the year is, and this was kind of what spurred the book on too, sort of the topic and the theme of the book, the God Who Is With Us, and it's so interesting because this is a time of the year where our expectations are that we're going to just experience all of this warmth and togetherness. And you find that for a lot of people, it's a season of, loneliness and isolation and things where, our expectations of what the season is supposed to be aren't really being met. And so a little bit of the purpose and the theme behind the devotional is to just be reminded that, the Lord is near. God sent Christ to be near to us. And this season really reminds us that, as believers, we're just not walking in isolation, and God is not absent from us, even as we enter into the new year and we got all the fear and all the dread that can come with that, depending on where we're at. So again, to just have that daily reminder that, the presence of the Lord is near us. That's just something, that's a personal thing for me. That's something I struggle with. And I just wanted to write something because I know that that's a universal kind of a thing,
So good. Ronnie Martin, pastor, speaker, author. It is The God Who Is With Us, 25-day devotional for Advent. You talk about God's desire to draw near to us. And I think, there are times, at least in my life, I forget that. And I love how you've got down here in the paper in front of me, you talk about the practices for experiencing the nearness of God at Christmas? What are some of the practices? And this is daily during Advent.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, I think we are constantly having to get back to really those ordinary basic spiritual disciplines, which are, they're time honored because it's what Scripture provided for us in terms of how we get close to Christ and how we experience His presence. And so I think finding those pockets of time, being intentional about finding pockets of time to just slow our lives down and go before the Lord in prayer, opening up His Word, using a devotional to help us do that. I just think it's so key, especially in this season where you're just running and you're running. There's so much hustle and bustle, and you just get lost in it. And so we end up coming out of this year, entering the new year, and many times in just kind of a state of chaos mentally. And when in reality, this should be the time of year that we can step back a little bit and prepare our hearts, prepare ourselves for entering the new year with just a new commitment to drawing nearer to Christ. And but it's so hard. It's so hard given the nature of the season and how Christmas has become such a thing. It's almost like it overshadows us and it crowds us out. And we have to be intentional about finding time with the Lord in the midst of all that.
Now, Ronnie, I'm interested to talk about the kids devotional that you originally wrote, and what you was that for your kids, or what made you want to write that?
Well, no, actually, so I have one daughter, and she's too old for an Advent book. But I always wanted to write a book for kids. It's a challenge, to be able to take language and write it in a way that is understandable, but it still has some depth, and the truths are still deep with, are just steeped in the gospel.
Right.
And
right.
So, yeah, I had the opportunity to do that. I had an idea for it. It's called The Best Gift Ever Given. And so it's really a family devotional that mom and dads can just take their kids through. And it was just really fun to kind of start in Genesis and go all the way to the birth of Christ and look at Scripture and see all the gifts that God has given, and then get to Christ and say, yet they pale in comparison to the gift of Christ,
right,
that we eventually get on Christmas Day, of course. So that was kind of the big idea behind that.
Very cool.
The God Who Is With Us, 25-day devotional for Advent. Pastor Ronnie Martin with us, author, speaker, and pastor. So far, what have you heard there? Thank you, Dan. Is the book, God Never Abandons His People. I love that. Well done. Great cover. What have you heard so far from people that have heard about, maybe they haven't read the devotional yet, but have heard about what you have decided to put out, and also those that maybe have read the devotional? What have you heard?
Yeah, I think some of the comments I've gotten, because people are just getting it, they're just beginning, they're just kind of diving into it. I think some of the comments have been encouraging. I think it's so I love going through an Advent devotional. I usually buy one every year. Somebody has one coming out, so I'm always looking to see. I usually buy a couple of them. Oh, we got a couple of Advent devotionals. I'm going to grab both of them, pick one that works. Me and my wife will go through it. And I think it's a source of comfort for people. It can serve as just kind of an anchor in a life that gets very busy around the holidays. And that's what I'm mainly hearing, is just I'm really looking forward to finding a time during the day, whether that's in the morning or at night, settling in, hitting pause, and just being able to kind of focus on, what's important, in this season, so that my priorities can, at least for that moment, can become reordered, So those are some of the things I've been hearing, which has been super encouraging for sure.
Now, Ronnie, being a lover of Christmas, like we can tell that you are, Christmas morning, do you still get up early, excited, or do you sleep in?
No, so we're up early. It's crazy. It's almost like it's ingrained in us.
Yeah.
We have an adult daughter. She lives and works in Chicago, and so she'll make it out a couple days before Christmas. And yeah, it's like it never changes. It's like she's 7 years old. We're up at like 5, 6 in the morning, and we're just getting into it. So I know it's almost like it never changes. It's part of the routine. We love it. To sleep in would be an abomination.
Yes. Yes, it would be. Would you tell my wife that, please? I want to get up. And she's like, no, it's too early.
It's interesting because I have 3 sons, and they're basically men now. I mean, from
Yeah.
33 to 20,
Oh man.
and the 20 and 22-year-olds still live with us. And they were so far apart from the first one. The first one would wake God up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and then get us up. Well,
Yeah.
the later on, when the younger ones came, they always slept in. So it was a total different
That's just wrong.
deal.
Yeah.
So, but either way, it's awesome. Check out this devotional real quick. Ronnie, what's next for you? 2023. Any written plans of writing? What's going on?
Yeah, so we got a book coming out in April called Pastoring Small Towns.
Oh,
And,
wow.
yeah, it was co-authored with another small town pastor, author named Donnie Griggs from North Carolina. And we just wanted to dive into the unique challenges that exist for pastors that are ministering in small towns. And so we wrote a whole book about it. So yeah,
Love to talk to you about that when that comes out. I think that's a very, very important piece, missing piece, I think, in our culture about pastoring small churches in small towns.
agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, let's catch up with you on that. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Check out the devotional, RonnieMartin.org. Look forward to talking to him in 2023. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.